Welcome to the Freelance Drive. Here we talk with skilled freelancers about their professional journey. Stay tuned for real life experiences to learn and actionable steps to take to improve your freelancing career. My name is Yuri. I'm a community builder at Code Control and 9am.works. And my guest is Alessandro Pedori, a tech and people person with over 20 years of experience in computer engineering, specializing in language technologies and AI, who learned his first second language at 8 years old and speaks rather fluently 5 natural languages and can get by somehow in 4 more. So, welcome, Alessandro.
Hello. I'm confused about the 8-year-old. Where did that come from? Or the okay. Maybe in school, but
I
it wasn't
googled
great.
too much. Too much,
Okay.
most likely.
I'm not sure that was real news, but all good.
Awesome.
But
I will reach out to this person where I saw this information and told them about that.
I love natural languages. I speak a bunch.
Okay, so if it's not real, tell me about the reality. When did you learn your first second
probably
language?
the first language. I started around 8 in school, but that didn't count. But I really learned English between 11 and 12 with role-playing games. So I had a huge vocabulary about medieval weapons and way to disembowel people, and I couldn't describe things that was on the kitchen table. But I learned also English by reading. So my accent is still not perfect, but that was it. But I wasn't exposed about international culture until quite later.
What other languages do you know?
I lived 17 years in Berlin, so German. My first big love was Finland svenska, it means Swedish-speaking Finn, and I learned Swedish with an accent like the Moomin Troll, if anyone knows. And French, I was forced in school at gunpoint. Spanish, and I used to speak Portuguese, but not so well. And then I failed a bunch of other languages. Like I tried, like every time there is a complex pronunciation or very complex grammar. I will try to learn Polish now because my partner is Polish, but it's hard. Like 7 cases and grammar is not my forte.
I'm learning Polish at the moment. If you want to practice, always
okay.
here.
But you have a Slavic language as an origin thing, so I think there is a little bit of help. Like if you want to compare me learning French or Spanish from Italian,
it's much easier for me, exactly. But still, like everything is possible. So from your experience, what is connection between programming languages and human languages?
Not that much, actually. There's, apart from curiosity, a programming language is a way of implementing a series of if-then-else and logical steps and how to give order to a computer in a very, very detailed way. So okay, there are some differences like completely functional and object-oriented, but programming languages tend to be 1 or 2 or 3 breeds, while human languages are this vague. The reason I love working with natural language processing and language models is that it's fuzzier. Like, so you get the super very detailed OCD. If you gave the slightly wrong instruction, the computer just follows like this, and then you have the super fuzzy word of like, let's go to the bank. Was it the bank of the river, the bank with the money, something like this, or a memory bank? No, maybe not, but depending on the context, maybe we go to the memory bank to check what's inside. So this, I love languages, and then sometimes I completely hate it because it's fuzzy and I have to code something and it's difficult.
Yeah, exactly. And once you told me that you know how to build GPT power tools quickly. So what is your secret to doing it?
Not sure there is a secret. I'm cracking the code. I think I could have said something different, like them using them to build things quickly. Like GPT model switch from before I would identify a problem and get hundreds or thousands of samples and fine-tune a model and checking if the model was good enough, or train between a small large language model or a bigger or anything from machine learning to see if I could do what I needed to do. And now I will start trying with zero shot prompting or in context learning, and then I will get an idea if GPT can solve my problem like 80% of the time. And if it does, then we can start. Okay, and I have been able to do a demo of something that would take probably a month to test, or a few weeks in a few days to a week. So that, but for the rest, I'm not sure using any particular superpower in that. It's fun to be very fast, and you can iterate very quickly and getting to the point where sometimes APIs are enough, so you're not fine-tuning or retraining models, and that's nice. And I think that it will come back I still haven't touched the llama kind of models. I haven't done that, but it's coming to the horizon. That way we'll have to do it for some projects, so that will be a new interesting skill set, I guess.
So how do AI tools influence your life already?
Mostly programming. I am this weird breed that I try to keep a lot of my normal life very analog, and I write with pen and paper because it helps me think, and I also plan architectures with pen and paper and pencil. But programming, just catching up new either frameworks or how would you do this? Oh, I didn't know about this library. Now let me check about this library. I was doing some front end before it was called front end in the early 2000s, and now I've been a backender since forever. And I managed to do both a Vue.js and a Bootstrap, because old school front end, they're incredibly horrible, but they're dynamic with Ajax and dynamic stuff. And that was like 80% ChatGPT, and then me filling in the blank and designing the backend. So I'm using that. And for work also, like, okay, there is this information, extract a JSON file. This JSON file is broken, fix it, instead of me spending like what is the mist. So this kind of, or I need information, give me a regex, and then I will just tinker with it. So there are a bunch of it feels like old school Star Trek, like it's a computer, give me the direction for that. And then it's usually not perfect. The main thing I'm finding, at least during work, is that I will use GPT model. I will give them, given this information, extract this, and then they don't hallucinate much. There is this way in which, and then usually we'll add some tests, like, okay, asking again, is this information contained in this test? You check a few times if they're not hallucinating, but it's making a lot of very boring, shave off, write me the way of scraping this information from the website. Okay, thank you. So that the kind of thing that were incredibly boring and repetitive is skipped. And so I feel like, I want to say that I'm 4 times more productive. But between 2 times and 4 times, and I'm having so much more fun. Well, the boring things are gone, and I can do more interesting stuff. So it's great.
So once you told, like on a previous podcast, that you have to delegate stuff. It's like having a bunch of interns working for you. Yeah. So you still have to use your brain, So because I heard a lot of stuff like, oh, ChatGPT will change the world we live in. So even without being an expert in something, you can use it. And so from your perspective, is it possible to properly use all those tools without being an expert and still having good results?
In the same way you can use Wikipedia or Google, right? It's a tool. And then there is the way. It can be a starting point. Like if you want an answer, then go and do your own research, or keep on asking questions. I'm finding it's a great tool to learn about the topic, because let's say you want to Google why there is a specific error code and how to avoid it. or why a certain kind of code works, and you have to find some human that somehow on Stack Overflow, maybe 4 years ago, for a different reason, talked about that. And then you can start asking follow-up questions. Or we were talking about learning languages, like you can use it as a language mentor, like, okay, and you can write a sentence and then say, okay, correct it for me. Okay, what was this mistake? What would be the right way? And good luck. So you can have it as specialized mentors, but you have to point that in the right direction. And the same way as interns, like, I mean, working with a very junior programmer, like they are a genius in a specific area, but they won't be able to do the architecture. You need to ask the right question. I mean, I am one of the panels that I still don't have GPT-4 access, so I haven't played really with things like Agent GPT, but I wouldn't leave them, okay, solve this problem and keep on just making function calls. But when you point it to a question, you get a shape of an answer, then you can explore it and check it, and then you change the bit. I changed this, and now it doesn't work. So a lot of follow-up questions, and ask them the shape of what you want. Or, I mean, I've been using it to write, to play with text. Like I would write an outline, ask it to expand it with a certain style, then I will write it in my style. Then generally, since it's me, I'm always over. I mean, I have to write 500 words. I wrote 1,000. Cut half of this text, and then like, okay, then I will re-add. So I have this, or it will correct a few things and make them usually more boring but clearer. And then I will try to do a way in which it becomes. So it's a learning of what you can ask it and what it's good at doing. And it's, accepting the fact that it doesn't properly think. So it will, your questions have to guide it. And then you can also ask, okay, explain me what you're doing, and so on and so forth. But it's, it's a great way to access information. And I read some I go to Google, and then I get like, no, this is not working. I go to that, or other way around. I usually will use Google to recheck information. So it's they're interesting, for that. But the other day I was talking with a very, very good programmer. I was like, it's completely useless because I asked it this and he was hallucinating. Like, yeah, you're not using it right. It's the same. It feels like, well, a computer is completely useless. I did this and it didn't work. Like, yeah, you learn programming. You're a really, really good programmer. You can do low-level code I can't dream of. You do real-time streaming for 5 things you had to learn. So this is the tool. It looks much smarter. It is probably much smarter, but you still have to point it in the right direction. So that's actually that's what made me excited in the last few months, because I had a few moments where like, okay, we have nothing to do now. This is doing my job. Like I was teaching students, and they asked me why some code wasn't working, and I spent 20 minutes finding the error and correcting it. Then I tried to check, copy and paste, like that was December on ChatGPT, and in 30 seconds it had corrected it. And I was like, oh my God. But then I realized, that was a very specific thing on a library that I didn't know before. And so there is like, in some cases, okay, I can ask you to do this thing, and I still have to think. And it's still a different kind of programming, but it's still programming. So I find it super fun.
And you told very important thing about rechecking information.
Yeah.
So I feel like you still don't have to believe everything it gives you. So it's always about
from GPT, please don't. Really, they are learned to create realistic sounding text that they have copying the format and the kind of content on the internet. But it will possibly give you even false websites, false citation. Like no, if you ask it for information out of nothing, recheck it. If it gives you code, check it safely. Don't use it for nuclear weapons, please, or that kind of stuff.
Never create nuclear weapons, So once you said that if you can Google the answer, you are not interested in a conversation. But I feel like tools such as ChatGPT are bringing it even to the next level, since you can receive better answers and faster. So how do you think it will impact human connections and human conversations?
as a, as a, how to say, to specify, I think that was mostly about interviewing candidates, but also, you could have this conversation 20 years ago that going on like this happened, this doesn't happen. So I will be the one checking there. Okay, guys, this apparently is the result. So what do we want to talk about it? And so the factual, it becomes more like opinion or what it is mean for us. Okay, what is the nature of good and evil? Good luck Googling it, and good luck asking ChatGPT. So for me, if the idea like asking a candidate the thing that like newly graduated college students are better at than senior programmer, that's kind of, I find it stupid, maybe also because I graduated many years ago, sorry. So if I ask you the definition of a problem, of a technique, I don't care. I care like, okay, well, give me a situation where this technique is appropriate, give me a trade-off. Like, when I ask, let's say still candidates, like, I don't want the definition of a microservice. I want to know what's a trade-off of microservices, what problems do they introduce? And they tell me like they never introduce problems, like, okay, you never use them. Microservices have some good things, some bad things, and sometimes they're worthy, sometimes they're not, so if you don't know trade-offs, it means you haven't talked about that. And ChatGPT or GPT will probably be able to talk about trade-offs, but for me, if I can have this conversation with a robot, why do I need a human? So if I'm trying to hire a human, they have to show me that, okay, even if they tell me like, yeah, this I could ask Google, this I could ask ChatGPT, great. So Google the answer or ask ChatGPT, and now let's discuss what. So I want to see that you can use that tool. Mm-hmm. With other humans, it's more and more that for me, the point is human connection, right? So it's not about, it's about, if you want finding an agreement, it's getting to this point where in a conversation or in a group, you become a bit like the Borg, like the shared mind, and it's something magic happen when there is this flow, and humans, I call it one of the human superpowers. We can become a super organism, and a bit like almost only insects and a few other animals can do this. So, and it feels good. I never understood why people would go to a sport match and just go there chanting, but then I found it in different situations. So with other humans, I look for that. And if we have to solve a problem, I want you to use all the problem possible and all the problem, all the solutions or the tools possible. And these are tools that do something and have to be learned. So, I'm not interested about asking for definition. How would you solve a problem? It's very easy to get to the level of complexity in which ChatGPT loses the thread. And so I want to get to the level with a human, and not the thing which, if a computer is good at doing that, like if you want as an example, like at the moment, chess is a solved problem. There is no human that can win against the computer. And at the same time, people look chess and they look two humans fighting to each other, who loses it, who wins it. And that's running, like we have machines that will run much faster or move much faster, and we still watch sports. So this becomes like, we want humans being involved in the thing, and that becomes where I'm interested in this.
Yeah, I feel like it's just easier, like when you're saying, which in a football match, it's just easier to relate to people than to robots. So because there are people playing football, not robots playing football.
Yeah, and why should I relate with robots? Unless they have emotions, but then we are creating fake humans, and then it's so yeah, it's gonna be. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be an interesting world. And our children will be very much like, yeah, I still remember when I had to check I had to Google my things. I didn't ask your AI tutor for your solution. Or there would be.
I didn't just think about the solution. I had to really type it.
Yep.
Exactly. Alessandro, I really wish to have the sky as the limit to our conversation, but time is the limit. So the final question, what is your favorite food?
Usually freshly made and healthy, depending. Favorite. I mean, I think, I mean, generally either Japanese, Thai, or Italian, but really recently I'm discovering Peruvian. I can say the last favorite food I discovered is like ceviche from Peruvian cuisine. That is a form of slightly fermented, I mean, fresh fish fermented in fresh lemon or lime, and that was super yummy. But, yeah, I don't think I have a very specific favorite food.
Nice, Alessandro. Thank you very much for sharing. And thank you very much for sharing your experience. It's been such a pleasure.
This is fun.
I
mean, as you can notice, I'm really enjoying this. I mean, I went from, if you had this thing early January, you have seen me very depressed and very lost, and now it's just really like, wow, this is so much fun. This is great. So things change.
Totally. And yeah, once again, thank you very much. See you in the tech world. And thank you so much for listening. If you like our conversation, hit the like button or 5 stars and share it with your friends. That's it. We're done. See you in the next episode.